Next up in Divine Dreamers, we'll be covering Joaquin Martinez's chapter, which is titled The First Time I Died. And so I have quite a bit of highlights in this chapter. However, not everything I'm going to share is going to be necessarily that dream work related. Like a lot of it is just, different stories and things that came to mind when I was reading through some of the stuff that he wrote. So anyway, we'll get rolling. So first up, as a teenager, I was always a bit of a loner, but when alone, I never felt lonely. And that just jumped out to me because that really hits the nail on the head for how I was when I was a teenager, and kind of how I still am today, to be honest, which is a little funny because it's like the complete opposite of how my wife tends to see me, where she thinks of me as being like really outgoing and sociable and all that. And I can be, but I also really love and cherish my alone time as well. But I also think that people who tend to lean more towards this archetype of liking to be alone, I think those types of people are also probably more naturally inclined to being interested in and wanting to pursue a dream work practice. I mean, at least that's how it was for me. And really, like the first time I ever really started getting interested in my dreams, although I wasn't, trying to lucid dream purposely back then or anything, was right around high school time, where it's not like my life was bad then, but it wasn't easy for me. I was stressing out about a lot of shit. And so I would always look forward to, going to sleep at night and being able to venture off into the world of my dreams in a nice, safe, personal environment for myself. Anyway, sidetracked. So next up, he writes, when the time came to choose a career and to go to college, all my friends are ready, but not me. Again, that lines up basically exactly the same situation for myself, except for it wasn't all my friends. Like half my friends were ready to go off and go to college. The other half were like, screw college, we'll go straight into the workforce. Now, I wanted to do the screw college, go straight into the workforce thing, but then my parents were, really pushing me and essentially forcing me to go to college. So I did a couple semesters. Finally, after a couple semesters, I was telling my parents, you know what, man, I'm over this. I'll take a break for a semester or two, just focus on my job. I had a decent job at the time that had some, potential path towards growth. And so I took a break from college and have never been back ever since. However, I do have things in my life still trying to get me to go back to college. Like my current job now, always like, hey, go to college, we can give you a pay raise. And I might in the future, but really, time is more important to me. I don't want to sacrifice, my time with the kids and my time to play video games and make videos and spend time with my wife and, also have a full-time job. I don't want to split up more of that time trying to go to college for, some pay raise. Maybe when the kids go ahead and move out the house, long time from now, maybe then I'll go back to college. But for now, that stuff is on the back burner. And then, getting totally sidetracked. But even when it does come to college, like I think if you know what you want to do, then by all means go to college, right? Especially if some things will need it, doctor, engineer, teacher, something. Of course, at that point, go to college. But if you're kind of more in my boat where I didn't know what I wanted to do, right? In that case, maybe save the money. College is getting really stupid expensive, and be stuck in that debt forever if you do go. And if you do go and you don't get a really good, well-paying job. And honestly, for me personally, I put more priority in like establishing relationships, not burning bridges, and then just keeping your eyes open for opportunities. I mean, I know I lucked out pretty big time in my life, but that's how I ended up, advancing my career. As I started off in one place, made as much connections and relationships as I could. Different opportunities came up. Oh, such and such happens. I can move up to this new managerial position. Shoots, I'll take that, even though I was totally not ready for it. Time passes on. This other company, hey, we have this position open. You want to come and join us? And then, that's just how I rolled through it and worked out decently well so far. Anyway, let's get back to the book here. Oh, so this is where he shares a story about him almost dying, which I have another similar story where I almost died in like the exact same way. Okay, so at this point, he was living by this beach that had these really big, dangerous waves most of the time, but this one morning, things seemed calm. And so he writes, one early morning, I was gladly surprised to see no waves. The ocean was flat like a lake, so I decided to go for a swim. As I went out further, these truly huge, majestic waves started to emerge and pulled me deeper and deeper. The more I tried to swim my way out, the deeper they pulled me. Eventually, I became exhausted, couldn't move anymore, and started to drown, and there was no one around to help. I never stood a chance in this highly personal battle. I struggled for what seemed a lifetime, continually repeating to myself, not this way, until I came to the shocking realization that I was dying and there was nothing I could do to avoid it. At that point, my head hit the floor of the majestic ocean and I finally surrendered. Immediately, I was surrounded by a beautiful, bright golden light, felt an incredible peace, and heard a beautiful angelic beat. And I just let go. So the only time in my life where I thought, like, I'm gonna die right now, and I wasn't like, you know, totally wasted doing something stupid, sober, getting this thought in my head, right? So we went out surfing one time, and it was huge, to this beach called Diamond Head. And, you know, it was gigantic. We're going there with all the boys. So we get out there. It's so big that, like, some of the guys are like, screw that, man, I ain't going out. However, peer pressure and shit got to me. Some of the guys were going out. I'm like, screw it, I'm coming too. So we're paddling out, and the beach is so big that it's not even that crowded because it's just too dangerous for a lot of people to go out. And then the main break that I like was like, there was nobody there. So all these other guys were on this other peak called Cliffs. So, you know, we're paddling out. One of my buddies ends up catching a wave before I catch the first wave. So I'm really at this point out there at this one peak, completely alone. And then I see this set, this freak big ass set, because I thought we were outside. We were where most of the waves were breaking, but then, you know, the freak set comes in. I start seeing that thing rolling in. I realize I'm in like the worst spot imaginable, you know, stuck between, you always get stuck in this like weird decision-making moment when you're out and it's really big and you're surfing to like, if I'm gonna get cracked by this wave, should I paddle out a little bit or should I paddle in a little bit to try and get out of the maximum impact zone, right? But for me, I was basically screwed. So that, well, you know, I'll try to get some momentum, paddle towards it, just stand up on my board, dive and go like as deep down under as I can to try and, you know, not get hit by this wave too hard. The wave super nails me. It pounds me super deep. Luckily, I knew which way was up because I could feel the leash of my surfboard kind of floating towards the surface. So I'm swimming up for what seems like forever. I'm running out of breath and I'm getting to the point where no matter what, I'm gonna have to inhale. If it's water, I'm screwed. So I'm in full panic mode too at this point. I'm kind of in the whitewater area and I just said, screw it, I gotta breathe. Bring in some air, and luckily I was in the whitewater, so there was some like pockets of air and water in there. I get enough of a breath in, right, a little bit choking, and I pop up and I realize I got hit like straight down. I didn't like roll with the wave and go further inside, so I pop up in like the exact same spot. I look in front of me and I see a wave just as big. I'm in just as bad of a spot, about to nail me. I got, you know, seconds to kind of catch my breath and try to breathe in again. And at that point I thought, oh, I'm dead. Like, should I be feeling a funny feeling before I die? That was like the thought that was going through my head, but I felt nothing. I wasn't, like, at that point, I wasn't even that scared anymore because I also, like him, I kind of just like, I just gave up. I said, well, you know, we just got to see how this goes. The wave was crashing down. I didn't even try to swim deep, but I just like took a breath in, went like this with my arms to get a little bit underwater. And then it actually worked out good because when the wave did hit me, it hit me really hard, but I started to roll in the white water. So I was going in. And so as I was rolling in the white water and heading inside, I could breathe every time it came up, drown a little bit, breathe, drown a little bit, breathe. So the second wave was actually a lot better than the first wave. And then also it knocked me far enough inside where I could be like, okay, screw it. I'm never trying to do this again. It's way too damn big. I got to know my limits. I'm going inside. And so I went inside after that. So where was I? So basically the end point of this whole story, he lets go. Eventually he wakes up. He got brought to shore somehow. They resuscitate him or bring him back. And then what he got out of it though was he realized that he really wanted to follow his dreams, right? So not long after this, he quits college. He gets interested in spirituality and things like metaphysics, spirituality, shamanism, and plant medicines and stuff like that. And then also the kind of real end of this story is when he started to really follow his true path and like his you know, like his true desires or whatever. He ends up finding like his dream home in this awesome, secluded, self-sustainable place. Okay, back to what he wrote. Oh, I just like this quote here that he writes. So he says, "Until you give up the idea that happiness is somewhere else, it will never be where you are. The more we own and value our present, which is all we have, the happier we are." So I thought that was kind of a cool one. Then he shares a technique that he likes to use for, you know, whatever phase type stuff. So lucid dreaming, astral projection, or OBEs. And so he writes, just before lying down to sleep, set a clear affirmation like, "I will be lucid in my dreams," or "I am thankful and excited for astral traveling tonight." As an addition, I can say clearly and firmly, When asleep, I will see my hands, and that's basically getting to doing the hand reality check. Then as you are lying in bed, relax your body with deep rhythmic breathing, but keep your mind very calm but alert and focus on your third eye, like hypnagogic type stuff, essentially, as if you want to see through your eyelids but with your eyes closed. You will soon start to feel smooth vibrations. You don't always feel the smooth vibrations, but they can be there. And sometimes you may see light images or colors. Hypnagogic stuff, I basically always see that personally. Stay focused and start moving your energy body left to right little by little. At some point, you will feel yourself detached from your physical body and you'll be able to move with pure intention. For even more success, you can use the same technique very early in the morning. Wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock and use the technique then. Essentially, you're doing it with wake back to bed. Another very effective time to do this is when you nap in the middle of the afternoon. For some reason, the nap is like a bridge between realms. And so for me, napping is amazing for hypnagogic type work. I don't get too many lucid dreams when I nap, although, of course, it's very much possible then. The next section, follow your dreams. Oh, so this is when he's talking about where his dream was to get an off-the-grid and self-sustainable house in the middle of nature, which he does eventually end up getting. And then we'll go ahead and wrap it up with this. The truth is that we do not create abundance. Abundance is always present. We create limitations. Once you truly follow your passion, your dream, your calling, the universe will make sure to support you in every step of the process. Support your steps with love, trust, and let go. Love is the most potent and magnificent feeling that can be felt. Love is the special ingredient that not only cannot be missed, but we have to consciously nourish and expand every step of the way. Be present and live fully in this experience we call life. And so for that last part there, it just makes me think of metta, or like essentially like neuroplasticity, right? When you start focusing on purposefully bringing up these feelings of love and compassion and these more positive emotions, you strengthen those neural pathways. That therefore makes it easier for you to access those feelings again. And then in the same way, in a kind of negative sense, if you're always essentially practicing being mad and angry all the time, you strengthen those neural pathways, and then it can become easier for you to be mad and angry. Anyway, that turned out a bit longer than I was expecting. That's the end of his chapter. After that, it goes into a little biography of him, talking about his, his life and things like that. But anyway, with that said, that wraps it up. Till the next video, keep your dream work practices legit.